So we know that you guys traveled all over the world to protest museums. How were you perceived differently in different countries and different cultures?
Well, our travels have been extensive in Europe and in South America. We have not yet been to Asia or to Africa, although we would love to go there, and our work has been to China.
And also Syria and lots of South Africa.
Yes, yeah, and Australia. We've been to Australia. So we've been mostly in European sort of cultures, and so there's a kind of commonality there. But of course, every culture develops its attitudes in a different way. And for example, in parts of Europe, they actually have a Ministry of Women's Affairs. I mean, do we have a Ministry of Women's Affairs in this country? No. It happens to be a very political situation, but the Minister of Women's Affairs, their job is to try to make things better for women, and especially for working women. We found that places where working women and mothers have less pressures on their lives, their feminism is not quite as strident as it is in this country, where we get very, very little support on anything. There are other countries where almost the entire art system comes from the government rather than from the free market. So they have their own series of problems with power, with a different kind of power structure. Instead of fighting the market, they're fighting the bureaucracy. So that's different. And every country and every culture evolves in a different way. For example, in Switzerland, this is hard to believe, there were parts of Switzerland where women did not vote until the late 60s. That's pretty hard to imagine. Women weren't allowed to vote again after the Second World War, in France, after the Second World War. So that definitely has an effect, where women are disenfranchised, their voices are not nearly as strong. So it's very hard to answer that question without a long, lecture on history.
Well, there's just one little cultural aspect of it, too. We find ourselves these days much beloved in Europe because we attacked the United States, and much unbeloved in the United States for the same reason.